Hello YouTubers, this is Shane Walsh from County Kerry in Ireland and welcome to my channel. Today I want to show you how I make my compost for my cacti and succulents. And I suppose stripping away the mystery of composts. And I've been using this compost for many years and I find it very good. And I suppose it depends on where you live in the world, where you can get the ingredients. Most of the ingredients you'll get in hardware shops, in garden centres, in nurseries, and also building suppliers, in your own backyard, back garden, etc. So I'll go through the different ingredients and then I explain, which plant prefers what type of compost. So let's go through the ingredients first. This here is John Innes number 2. It's a loam-based compost, usually fairly popular in Ireland and the UK. When I say loam-based, it's a soil-based compost, and it would have all the ingredients of soil, sand, a little bit of moss peat, nutrients, and lime. So that's John Innes number 2. The next one the next two are soil from my garden and also another garden where I work full time. So looking at this one here, this is the garden where I work full time. I'm actually a qualified horticulturist or head gardener in a hotel in South Kerry. And this is a sandy soil that I've taken and just to show you, it's a sandy soil. It's very like actually John Innes, just lighter in colour. Next one there is a clay-based soil, and this is from my own garden. So it's a clay-based soil, and I've used this in the past and I find it very good. And one thing I'm going to say, so a clay-based soil it's usually higher in nutrients than, say, a sandy soil. So they're all the soils. Another substrate that I use is coir. And coir is a byproduct of the coconut industry. And it's wouldn't have any nutrients, but it's a high humus content. Next one there is moss peat. Don't use this that much. I would use it now, say, for epiphytic cactuses such as the Easter cactus. It's I would say a high humus-based sterile ingredient. The only drawback with this one is it's not environmentally friendly. Stripping bogs that took 10,000 years to make. So whereas this is more sustainable, the coir. Another ingredient that I would use in my compost would be bark. This is well composted bark, and I would use this mostly again for epiphytic cactuses. That's like a high humus. You wouldn't use these on the Ariocarpus or the Echinocereus cactus or the Astrophytum cactuses or any of these cacti and succulents. You don't use high organic ingredients on the epiphytic cactuses. Right, so the next ingredients I use are sand. This here is a granite, crushed granite sand or decomposed granite sand. Again, you'd pick this up in builders providers. Next one there is a finer sand, which is a horticultural grit, and you'll get this in builder suppliers in garden centres usually. Wouldn't be as coarse as this one. So that's your other ingredient. Also, what I use as well would be pumice. Sorry, this is not pumice. This is horticultural grit. So you have horticultural sand, horticultural grit. It's coarser than the sand. So I'd use that as a mix. And I'll explain the ratios on how I use these different ingredients. This one here is pumice. I don't use pumice anymore in mixes. I find it's appearance wise, it doesn't look nice. It floats to the top of the pot over time, even if you use a top dressing. I may use it on seeds and seedlings, and sometimes I might use it on the epiphytic cactuses because I don't usually cover those with top dressing. The last one then that I use is pumice. And pumice is again a volcanic byproduct. I can only get it in Dublin, so I can't find it anywhere else. So it's quite scarce in the Republic of Ireland, but it's very, very good for drainage. So all these are for drainage. And then obviously all these then are for the main body of your composts. So you've got your John Inns, both your soils, and your peat, your coir, and these are inorganic. So obviously plants such as the astrophytums, the Areocarpus, and the echinocactuses don't like a lot of organic matter in their soil, so you begin giving them a lot more inorganic ingredients into their soil mix, such as grit, sand, pumice. Whereas the plant here, which is the Easter cactus, you would use a higher ratio of organic matter. Now, it's up to yourself. You can use nutrients in with it. You could use the all-purpose plant food, which come under names, different names, but Osmocote is one, and it's a slow release fertilizer. And bearing in mind, you won't need to feed usually after putting this in. Same with the organic, which is seaweed enhanced plant growth stimulant. And I would probably put those into nutrient poor soils, such as the sandy soil, if you're going to use that. And I'll just show you which composts these all turn out before I make the composts. So this is a John Inns mix, which is John Inns number 2, grit, sand, pumice, and coir. And soil, which is from my garden, is the clay soil, again sand, grit, pumice, and coir. And this is the other soil that I actually got from work. And again, it's the soil, sand, grit, pumice, and coir. And I added a little bit of the seaweed enhanced plant growth stimulant to that. Right, so making your compost. So I said that the ratios, and you need a container or a scoop, and this is what I would use. Like you can use anything as long as you have the ratios right. So I could use, this old saucepan can be used, or a scoop. Right, so you're putting in 4 scoops of sand and grit. Now I mixed my sand and grit and I've already done it already. So you're putting 4 scoops of that. That's sand. So there's 4 scoops of sand and 4 scoops of grit, well washed, into a large bucket such as this one. So it has to be well washed. And what I mean by well washed, you want to be washing this outside in a running tap with a hose, maybe at least 5 or 6 times, rinsing it out, because there's a lot of silt which builds up in the pot and actually goes rock hard like concrete. Believe me, I've experimented over the years, and it's only I suppose experience that I'm telling you this, that it's best to wash the sand and grit. So as I say, there's 4 scoops each of sand and grit gone into this bucket. Okay, so make sure it's well mixed. In with that then is 4 scoops of John Innes. John Innes number 2. And again, I would sieve it with a sieve to get rid of any lumps and twigs and any other rubbish, because it will have it. And also that's with your garden soil as well. Sieve the soil to get rid of any rocks, twigs, etc. Because you want a fairly fine mix. So just put it on there. So put in your John Innes number 2 and give it a good mix. It's hard actually to do this when you only one hand. So mix it around a good, it's like making a cake really. Like so, once it's well mixed, now I'd usually empty this out into a different bucket to get the bottom of it all mixed through. Now, so also I recommend getting a little trowel or a little I suppose what we call this, a fork, to mix through your mix your compost. Then you're getting coir. Again, this is quite difficult now because I'm using one hand. So you've 1 scoop of coir. So I said I had 4 scoops of sand, 4 scoops of grit, 4 scoops of John Innes number 2, and this is 1 scoop of coir. And I'll tell you why I use 1 scoop of coir. I don't want a high I suppose organic compost. I want it well drained, and the reason why I put coir in, because with putting moss peat into your mix, and remember John Innes, which is John Innes here, the John Innes compost,